I know this is a lot of information with a short amount of slides, so I do want to have people raise their hands, and I'll have staff come around and pass out the microphone to ask general questions, knowing that you'll have the opportunity for feedback when we do the breakout sessions and the report back for everyone to hear. Okay, so first I'll start if there's any additional questions. I know we have our first question right here with regards to traffic.
Two questions. One of them is, who currently owns the Modesto Plaza? Through my research, I've seen that it's owned by a redevelopment successor agency. I want to know a little bit more about that. And then the second question was, has there been a feasibility on increased traffic of potentially 5,000 vehicles entering the West Modesto on quality?
Absolutely. So I'm going to start with the second question first. So essentially, the traffic study would happen at a later period of time, and this is because we want to ensure that we're studying the right amount of traffic to serve the amenities that are eventually chosen by the council for that general area. And so it's hard to do a study when we're having the amenities continue to change, and it makes most sense that once the site is determined and the amenities are determined, then the traffic study happens at that point. The redevelopment successor agency. And so essentially the state years ago had something called the redevelopment agency, where there was funding set aside to build different community benefit projects. And so the Center Plaza at that time was built with that funding. So the Center Plaza itself owned by the redevelopment successor agency, which does consist of the city, county, school districts, including mosquito abatement. It includes many different entities. And so if this site were to move forward, it would be something that the redevelopment successor agency would then have to choose to surplus and sell for it to be accounted. Okay?
I have more of a statement. I just want to start off by saying that I am proud to have been born and raised in Modesto, California. I actually went to Overwright Elementary School. I'm a proud Flyer. I come here as a resident who wants the best for our city. As a kid, I'll admit, I had dreams of our city building another stadium right next to John Thurman Field, as I thought that the city deserved another sports team, given my experience going to Modesto Nets games on fireworks nights, thinking this is good as it gets. Did you know that in 2007, Randy Johnson, one of the most intimidating pitchers in MLB history, played here at John Thurman Field? And obviously, we all remember Troy Tulowitzki, five-time MLB All-Star. I could go on and on, but if you're unfamiliar with our local baseball history, you all should go take a look at past players from Modesto teams that we've had. And you'd be amazed, just as I was, as to how many MLB All-Stars played for a city team. Modesto has an incredible baseball legacy. And yet, despite being the California League's longest tenured franchise, the Nuts are in their farewell season.
Bye-bye.
The city and the Seattle Mariners couldn't agree on who would cover the $32 million in stadium upgrades
52.
mandated by the MLB. Even though Modesto since 2017 has paid $1.3 million for capital improvements at John Thurman Field, along with an additional $3 million in operating costs for the stadium since 2018. Not to mention the $3.93 million renovation in 1997, all of which were overwhelmingly paid by us, the Modesto taxpayers. And now, our city council has signed a letter of intent with the USL, asking us where we think the location should be for a completely new stadium that, according to the November 2021 preliminary economic benefit analysis commissioned by Cosmos Companies, a real estate and economic development advisory firm, by the way, will cost anywhere from $85 million to $120 million. By conservative estimates, us, the Modesto taxpayers, will cover up to 94% of that cost. Cosmos presentation includes a slide that projects anywhere from $5.8 to $7.7 million in annual revenue. But let's be clear where that revenue is supposedly coming from. Increased property taxes from catalyzed downtown development, hotel taxes for increased tourism, and special tax districts that may never materialize. These are not guaranteed dollars. They are speculative, optimistic projections that leave the city holding the bag if they don't come through. Meanwhile, the private sector contribution could be as little as $5 million, barely 5% of the total project cost. The rest bottoms back by us, the taxpayers. During graduate school, I worked for Dr. Jessica Johnstein, a professor of local politics. She taught us about the practice of franchise-free agency, where sports leagues pit cities against each other for better deals, ultimately securing more favorable stadium terms at taxpayers' expense, while owners reap the rewards. The threat is always implicit. If not here, then elsewhere. And trust me, Modesto is not the only city the USL has considered, nor will it be the last. Even if the stadium gets built, economists like Jeff Michael warn that these kinds of projects rarely live up to their economic promises. Often, they just redirect existing spending, not generating new growth. In short, we're not growing the pie, we're just slicing it differently. And what about the jobs this project claims it'll bring? Most are part-time, seasonal, and low wage. The average USL player, just to give you a little heads up, earns around $36,000 a year, many less. Concession and stadium staff will make even less. These are not long-term career building opportunities for our community, especially not in California in 2025. I know I may not have the most popular position, but let me be clear. I'm not against soccer. I'm not against development. I'm against bad deals for Modesto. Let's take the same energy, ambition, and funding and invest it into affordable housing, small business incubators, youth programs, furthering the fight against homelessness, connecting downtown to the Tuolumne River, or making sure every resident has a sidewalk. Projects that lift the community directly, that create lasting opportunity, not just more promises of trickle-down prosperity. If we're going to commit tens of millions in public resources, the project should serve the people of Modesto, not subsidize a league with a track record of instability. We shouldn't be rushed into a bad deal just because the letter of intent expires in September. That's not negotiation, that's pressure. Or as Tim Sullivan from the Louisville Courier Journal puts, let's learn from the 22 USL championship teams that have either folded, rebranded, relocated, went on hiatus, dropped to a lower level, or left the league entirely, all after similar promises of economic boom. I urge the council, pause this process, give the public a real seat at the table, perhaps letting this issue be decided by the voters, not by the council. Let's not build something we don't need for a team that may not even stay. If we truly want to invest in entertainment or economic development, let's start by improving what we already have. Like turning John Thurman Field into a mixed-use concert and sports venue. Maybe bringing back fireworks nights at John Thurman Field, a proposal I believe the council has considered before. That's a Modesto-based vision that builds on our legacy, not one that erases it. Thank you.
Thank you for all your comments. I do want to kind of touch base on a couple of items.
Let her-
John, I know we have a couple more questions. I do want to encourage us in use of time, like if we can keep this area to more questions that I can help clarify for the group, and then everyone will have the opportunity to say comments as well. I do want to state that. Couple things. John Thurman Field is proposed to stay in all of the proposals that are before the council. And so August 5th, all of John Thurman Field is staying. The second component is actually the Mariners did sell, and so they chose to leave in that portion. And so I do want to clarify that, but we're still looking for ways on how we can support baseball in our community as well. For the financing component, we still haven't determined the level of financing or what specifically will be used. I do want to share that with the group. We are still looking for a private-public partnership. All of the different funding sources at this time hasn't been determined. Again, as we continue to get more information, I'm happy to share that when we have that as well.
I would just recommend a Google search for "Are stadiums a good economic plan?"
Well,
you can find on the Google results, they're not.
even though we have a stadium here, we have baseball, no one shows up. It doesn't matter. Like, you'll get less than 1,000 people, you can't fill it up. A soccer stadium actually fills up. You see the stadiums all across the country. You see the Gold Cup, the World Cup. Who shows up to those games? The raza, the community, the people. We do. We're 50% Hispanic here in this community in Modesto and Stanislaus, and we're going to be the people that show up. So, like he said, What are you gonna do? What is Modesto gonna do to make sure we benefit, not some outside corporation trying to dig into our pockets and try to penny pinch us for everything we got? What are you gonna do to help the homeless that are walking out outside, the mental health and all that? A clinic that you have up there proposed, that's nothing. A clinic is nothing. We need something better than just a clinic. Golden Valley is horrible. The places you guys are trying to propose is not something that we want. We want something better than what you guys are giving us. And if you guys are gonna spend that money, make sure to spend that money for us. Hire here, hire the locals here. I know, like he said, it's gonna be temporary, seasonal. We need benefits. They're gonna need benefits. They're gonna need proper help, higher wages. Are the taxpayers gonna wanna front that? All I gotta say is, if you give the community's gonna show up for you. If they feel they're gonna be representative, we'll be there, spending money. But if you guys are just gonna give it out to the highest bidder and jack us over, why build it? Why build it?
So I want to pause because I did miss a very essential introduction today. We do have Councilmember Alvarez, who is the council member for this district here as well. And so I'll give him an opportunity to speak after we finish all the questions and before we break out to the breakout sessions.
I'd like to find out, did we invite the USL to come in, or they invited us?
I'm sorry?
The soccer league, or did we plan on being a part of the soccer league, or do they look at us as a pivotal part of their soccer league?
So initial studies happened in 2021 where soccer could be a potential opportunity for Modesto. And so the USL is interested in coming here, and then we're interested in the USL as well, so it's mutual.
Shouldn't we have had all this discussion before we said okay to the USL?
So absolutely. So what we're at is just a letter of intent. And so I'm gonna speak to what a letter of intent means. The letter of intent means is the USL is interested in coming here, and then we're interested in the USL coming here. But in order for them to come here, we need to figure out these 12 other things. And it's the location, it's the ownership, it's the financing, it's construction, it's the infrastructure. And so in this period of time, it gives us the opportunity to continue to go through these things to see if it's still something that we want to both come to. We want them to come and they want to come. And so we're in kind of the time where we're getting the feedback, we're seeing if it works, but we have to get more into the details of what potentially it could be to ensure we're ready, if we're ready to move on to that next step with them. And so a letter of intent is the first step. What would happen after that is if we chose to proceed and if they chose to proceed still, we'd move on to a memorandum of understanding. And what that means is it sets more of like, okay, well, we're interested in this site, in this time frame. We're gonna work towards this ownership group and this financing. But this is the time where we discover it and we get more information on it now. And then we, again, the council will have to make a decision to move to the next step of an MOU as well.
Because there's a lot more we can do for downtown Modesto and West Modesto rather than bring in the state.
It's all about money. You gotta generate money somehow.
Saying that Modesto wanted the USL, what Modesto? You mean the city council?
50% of us.
You mentioned that earlier, that you said Modesto wanted the USL.
So-
So my question is, what Modesto?
So I can speak to the studies that were done and the action that council took. And so the studies that happened in both 2021 and continued on in partnership is there was an opportunity to bring other sorts of entertainment such as soccer, as it would be a great demographic, to help meet what our constituents were actually traveling into and attending in other areas to bring it here in Modesto. And so council did take action in September 2024 to sign a letter of intent with USL. And so it was a council, but it was initiated by the private sector, and through the study of a gap in our community that we could bring additional amenities here.
So it had nothing to do with the community. It didn't, because you're saying that it came
It's what we like, what they could, how they can make money, basically.
So there's a study by the private sector that said there was an opportunity to bring
To
soccer
make money.
here. Because many of the people in this general area were traveling outside of the area to go to different soccer games.
What is the private sector? You keep saying private sector. What?
Studies were done online.
So, and I, again, happy to share with everyone that emergent findings report.
So they're all
that is-
young
that is
people,
what
the
was
ones
happening
that
in
wanted it.
2021.
The ones that aren't here.
I just don't have it with me today.
Okay, so because me and my friend here, we go out in the community, we talk to them. I talk to them, I talk to some of the community over there by Thurman, by the golf course. They don't even know anything about it. They didn't even know anything about you guys
Yeah.
trying to build or, what was up for the housing or.
Not enough outreach.
They didn't
Door to
know.
door,
But they,
door knocking.
the few that I talked with was like, no, we don't know that. So you all not even giving the community a chance to really hear, the community, because I believe in community, okay? Community, hearing what you all are trying to do. Next thing you know, you guys will be tearing down those trees and building stuff, and they'll be like, what's going on? Taxes going up, you still got the unhoused? Why can't we just focus on what we have here now, face value? We have a whole city full of homeless people that we need to house. But you guys are worried about a soccer field and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Tell them, Gina.
On hold is, have we given any thought to, the idea of gentrification happening in this area? We have a project in West Modesto, the Modesto Center, $8 million, project, that's slated to be done next year. And then this would be an $80 million to $100 million project.
150.
And that would raise property taxes, raise rents, and people would be displaced. So have we thought about protections for the community in regards to, those types of living increases? And also any type of community benefit agreements that have been in discussions, and was the clinic and some of those housing elements, were those part of the community benefit agreements that have been already in talks? What can you speak to any other agreements that you guys have made?
Sure, I think that's all good feedback. The key thing, and when the municipal golf course was actually closed in 2019, it was kind of to reach out to the community of what everyone felt would be best for it to be redeveloped as, and to make sure that we had that feedback. And so we did know that these 54 acres at some point were to be redeveloped as we closed the golf course. I think as we continue to do our community listening sessions and get feedback on kind of what the needs were, when outreach happened in 2020 and 2021, we had some wants for retail, to have a local grocery store here. We had some wants for open space, to have that as well. We had a lot of wants for different levels of housing and what that looks like. And so, as we're putting together and going through this journey, we're putting together different options that have some of those things in that feedback, which will continue to get defined as we move forward. And so, do I have an agreement yet? No. Is this some part of the listening session that we can put something together and really have an understanding of what will be there? Yes.
By tomorrow would be nice.
And then to speak to the protections for community members on gentrification.
So what it would look like, essentially, that the property taxes wouldn't go up until someone actually sold the property. And so if the properties were sell in the general area, that's when the assessed value then would go up and they would be taxed at a higher rate. And so it wouldn't be that the property taxes would go up because all of these amenities are built around you. It would be actually if the property transferred ownership.
Well, let's pass something so it freezes that and prevents it from happening.
Just quick follow-up, but if landlords in the area perceive that the value of their property has gone up, could they essentially raise their rents?
They already have.
So I think that's something we have to look for.
Well, thank you.
My name's Art Favela, and if you got my flyer, I'm here for parcel C. The issues there were, one, we didn't want to sell, and if two, if we were forced to sell, we wanted more money. But I went to the workshop last month, so I just wanted to share some of the things from the workshop. And it was kind of in, showing why they should have been able to give us more money if it came to that. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip the land acquisition since we're not really there, but the property tax So this is a comparison of West Modesto and downtown. The property tax for West Modesto would generate in 5 years, 38 million to 76 million. In comparison to downtown would be only 13 to 24 million. So that's 3 times the generation of property tax in West Modesto. The economic impact would be in West Modesto 7.4 million to downtown's 3.9 million. So we're like almost twice as much there. This is kind of why, I do want the project to go on here in West Modesto. I just don't want my home being sold.
Yeah.
The economic impact in West Modesto would be 127.3 million in comparison to 62.6 million in downtown. And then the increased employment would be in West Modesto, 373 jobs in comparison to 184 jobs in downtown. So my argument being that since we're gonna make double here, and millions of dollars over the next 5 years, they should be able to pay us more, but that's kind of off the table now, so, but in my argument, there's a lot more to be gained here in West Modesto as far as revenue and jobs, and I think that's very important, so, anyway, that's all I really have to say.
So what Art did is he went through some of the financial, items from our workshop in June. What it encompasses, and I just want to provide some clarity to everyone as well, is as we're looking at West Modesto in the update, it is contemplating the redevelopment of 54 acres. When we're looking at downtown, it's contemplating the redevelopment of 1213. And so they're looking at what this development itself could actually generate in increases. And so they're looking at the 54 acres, and then they're looking at the 12 to 15 that would be redeveloped. And that's where those dollars are coming
The information that you say you obtained from interested people, the community, how did you get that information? Was it from a survey that was initiated online for people to?
So the initiative in 2021, there was people that was spoke to by our consultants here. And so it wasn't a physical survey, there was phone calls that were made.
Phone calls.
Those interviews.
Phone calls.
And I can look at those details to get that information.
Yeah, I was just wondering where the information came from. Did it come from people that actually lived in that area, or they just get it from people that live across town and say that this is what they'd like to see happen, or people that it's really going to benefit and affect? How do they know about contacting them to answer the question?
Great questions, and I can look at getting that to you. Thank you. So I know we have a couple multiple questions here, but has anyone not had the opportunity to ask a question?
I have no notes, but I do have a question. How many games, home games, would a soccer team play here during a year? Do you have any idea?
Men's and women?
So we're looking at both the men's and women's team. We're also looking on different ways to activate the stadium throughout the year, to also include concerts, community events, and so
SoccerStadium?
the number of activated days, I'll have to get that information to you.
So you don't know?
Not off the top of my head.
I couldn't think over 16. So, we have, 350 days of nothing going on.
So that's kind of the beauty of the entertainment district itself, and that's kind of what I want to speak to.
I'm not from, West Mo, I'm, from downtown. I have a small business, a sandwich shop downtown within this project that we're planning on building the stadium in, which would take myself, a business next door to me, several businesses behind, and hundreds of people out of being displaced for this project. And I don't think that's right at all, because I don't believe the revenue is going to come in to actually pay for this, and that's my other final question would be, who are we building this for? Who are we building for? I mean, there's people behind the scenes that are lined up to buy a soccer team, and they are in the back room figuring this out. So I would like to know that.
So,
That's not transparent. I mean, that should be in the paper. Everything should be transparent, but it's not.
thank you for your feedback. So I do want to state that looking at different entertainment options and economic development opportunities for Modesto has been a strategic plan for the council for an extended period of time. And so as we're looking, I mean, we're continuing to explore, how can we bring different amenities here? How can we bring different entertainment options for people to live, work, play in the area that they live in? And so, you know, soccer is the current thing that we're working and looking on now, but we're also looking at other options as well. So it is a strategic plan goal to continue to look at entertainment options to help bring, you know, different options to our area. Thank you.
Bring a boxing event or something, shit.
My question is more around the process of
Canelo
the
and
general
stuff.
plan. So we still don't have
Crawford.
a first draft of the general plan, which has been going on for multiple years. And that's been very stressful in that sense, in a sense. And so my question is, how does something like this, knowing that both downtown and West Modesto, according to Cal Virus Screen and some other tools, are underserved communities, how do we address environmental justice, which states in Senate Bill 1000, I forget the name right now specifically, but building for healthy communities. How do we address these issues when it's not in a general plan for how we address growth? So for these types of projects.
Oh, and Doctors Medical can't close their emergency room, by the way. There's no more doctors medical emergency room, by the way. So now the community is even less served.
You said they can't?
They closed it down. I should know my fiance's been in Sutter Hospital for 44 days, and they brought all their emergency room patients to Sutter.
Thank you for that. I can look further into that as well. Do you want
Well, I'll just share, just to build on what Edgar had mentioned, on top of the housing plan not being completed, our county still hasn't even finalized their, comprehensive economic development strategy, the CREDS, that hasn't even been put together and. Oh, so I'll just repeat it. So currently, as Edgar had mentioned, the city hasn't been finalized its Modesto housing element, but say within our county, the CRED or the
sets?
SEDS, yes,
Yes.
my apologies.
No, not a problem.
The comprehensive economic development strategy isn't even finalized to say, hey, this is a good strategy based on our county report.
So our SEDS is actually out for review right now. It's in its 30-day review period. So if you want to go to the county's website for that, I'm happy to put some feedback regarding that document itself. But for the general plan, we did receive feedback for environmental justice. It's shared with our consultants. We plan to go back out in the fall to talk about the 3 land use alternatives and then go through those programs and policies as well.
But, my question is, do you guys care about the residents? Do you care about the community? I mean, you just heard this gentleman right here say, you know, in order for you guys to start to even build, if that's where you're gonna build downtown, you're gonna wipe out businesses, probably homes, okay?
No.
Probably gonna get a pity on the, whatever, for the businesses of their homes. Do you guys even care about the people over there in Tuolumne, or is it just a money thing? Are you guys just after the money? Come on, care about the people here. That's my question. Do you guys care?
Yes,
I'll
and I
hear,
and
I'll
also
hear.
that's,
She
and I think
knows
that's a
herself.
great work into the listening session itself and really going through like what does everyone want? What are the pros and cons of each area? What are the amenities? So I'm gonna turn it to the next slide, and I am gonna have us break out.
Let me have one more question here.
Sure.
I'll be there tomorrow at,
Agreed.
the next meeting will be at 1010 10th Street.
Yeah.
On 10th, and, that's tomorrow at 5:30. And, I'll be there, maybe you can answer the question.
We'll all be there.
Games they'll play at
Great.
the,
I
at
didn't have
the
a
soccer
question.
game, and possibly if you could answer me, who will build this floor? Who are the people that will actually own the soccer field?
Yeah. We should own it. The city, the people, the community, we should be the ones.
That's crazy, but okay. That's crazy. Who's gonna?
It should be us, ran by us, for us.
Coach 1 week, United Coaches.
Okay, so we're gonna break up into 4 different groups. I'm gonna have Blanca lead the group.